Raging Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Welcome into the Raging Review Podcast. Nick, Jerry, Josh, Lane. Man, we got the whole crew in tonight to talk about our weekend, not just baseball. We had other things going on. Thankfully, I think for once in a while, we can say thankfully basketball got us some solid wins this weekend. But boys, let's get right to it. Not going to hesitate because we have a lot to get to. Let's start with baseball. Obviously, disappointing weekend. Cajuns fall to San Jose State 2-1 as they lose today 12-4, which was just an absolute ass whipping. And Josh, we started talking about this last night. Even with the win on Friday, it wasn't a comfortable win. Like, you felt like, guys, we were playing our game. We did the small ball thing. Some guys got a couple timely hits, but we never, I think San Jose State out hit us today. They just dominated us in all facets of the game, in the base running, in defense. I mean, 4 errors. You got to be kidding me. In hitting, in pitching, they dominated outside of, let's say, Tate Hess and one of the freshmen we'll talk about in a little bit. But Josh, since we talked about it last night, I'll give you the floor first. Let's talk about today's game. Lots of words we can give for it, but I do want to continue to say, because Southern Miss fans are so freaking soft, San Jose State is a solid team. Do I think we should have lost a series to them? No. Am I going to hang my head? No. Josh, you go first.
Well, Coach Flip even told Lane after the game that his team surprised him this weekend. So I think they came in and played a good game. I think the biggest takeaway from their offense was that they just continued to put pressure every inning. There was not a quick out. Like, they weren't swinging at pitches early in the count. I don't know. It's just like, it seemed like in every inning they had some sort of pressure, a base runner, a 10, 12 pitch at bat, something to keep them going offensively. And like you mentioned, Tate Hess. Tate Hess looked great. Unfortunately, tough luck loser because of the unearned runs, the 2 unearned runs while he was still on the mound. And he ended up taking a loss, which is just brutal. He deserved better fate. But I go back to the 5-run inning. That inning started out base hit, and then we go like tailor-made ground ball, hard hit ground ball to first base to Dobson, and we throw the ball away. That's got to be a double play. I don't think we turned a double play all weekend, but that's got to be a twin killing right there. And then you sit 2 out, nobody on base. Instead, we throw it in the left field. They start a rally, and then they just absolutely wailed on who was in at that point. Did Parker come out? I think Dill was that was the end of Dillhoff's outing, or was that
I think that was, if I can remember, because I couldn't watch the game, I'm just trying to remember from, I think maybe, was it Marcotte and Tillett?
Tillett.
It was Marcotte and Tillett.
Yeah, Marcotte and then Tillett. Yeah, I think it was that point of the game.
They started teeing off on
him.
But
because they got 5 runs off Tillett, so it was right around that point.
Okay, so it was Tillett. So that should have never happened. And once that happened, I mean, you could feel team was deflated, crowd was deflated. It went all downhill from there. But again, that's funny. You got to make people pay for mistakes. They rolled the ground ball. You got to get the 2 outs right there. We cannot give a team like that, who again put together quality at bat after quality at bat. Fernandez, you just couldn't get him out. Fabian Jr. just was pesky. We keep using that word, but he had good at bat after good at bat. It wasn't that they were just destroying the baseball around the yard. They They continued to get deep in the counts, and then they deposited the ball where it was pitched. They just had good professional at-bats. We talked about it yesterday. And it was up and down the lineup. Nobody in particular was, other than Fernandez. He was really good. But other than that, there wasn't anybody that was just, they come up to the plate and you saw fear in the pitcher's eyes or anything like that. They just had really good at-bats up and down the lineup.
And
so,
what was even more impressive is that you have a guy like Dilhoff that comes in and he has to pitch strikes to be good. And he had great movement in the first inning. Like, you were like, they're not going to hit off this guy. But then when he started biting the corners, they sat on that outside fastball, and man, they just would drive it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I'm like, okay, they're not sitting on like a fastball down the plate. They know he has to throw strikes. And you saw that throughout the day, is that they weren't sitting on a fat fastball. They were hitting balls that were on the outside corner and just driving them. Yeah. And that's what was so impressive. We were impatient, and we were trying to hit everything that was straight across the plate. They did a really good job of being patient, taking pitches, a couple of walks here and there, then driving those outside fastballs, man. And even a couple of breaking balls that they hit, it sounded like that they were just driving them. I mean, credit to them, man. Sometimes you just get beat by a better opponent.
Well, Degg said he was outcoached this weekend. And I totally agree. I was thinking, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to be the first guy to say it because everybody knows I'll say it. But I thought that San Jose State's approach, based on what we tried to throw at them, was exactly what it needed to be. And it's like we never adjusted. I completely disagree with pulling Dilhoff right there. You let him. He had a good bounce back at bat to get the third out in the second inning. He comes out in the third. He gets himself into a little trouble, base hit and a walk, or double and a walk. And I understand, like, you don't want to let the game spin out of control right there. It's 2-0 already. It's game 3. Like, are we going to make him a long-term starter? Because if we are, I want to see him get out of that. I want to see him work his way out of that jam.
Before you go forward, keep that thought, because I do want to ask the other two guys before I forget about it. Jerry, you first. Would you have pulled Dilhoff in that situation? I don't know that I would have. I kind of agree with Josh. Would you have pulled him there? Just yes or no?
I probably would have given him 5 or 6 more pitches, because I was telling Josh after he pulled him, I said he's at 59 pitches. So the pitch count probably goes up to about 70 or 75. I think he had just given up a stand-up double when he got pulled. I probably would have given him 5 or 6 more pitches, maybe one more at-bat to see how he reacts to it. Because, as you guys mentioned, this is his first ever weekend start. He's playing at this level. You gotta see what he can do in certain times of adversity. Unless he gave up one too many hits of what the coaching staff wanted going into the game, that would be the only reason why. I probably
Jerry, I just wanted a yes or no. Lane, yes or no? Would you have pulled him then, or would you let him go another couple innings?
No, I wouldn't have pulled him then. I would have let him go at least a couple more outs, maybe another inning.
He understood the assignment. All right, sorry, Josh. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to get that right when I was thinking about it.
It's fine, but it's even more layered than that. Nick, you talked about pitches. So if y'all were watching and kind of being really in tune to the game, first inning, I don't know if he threw anything other than a fastball.
No,
he was trying to dot up the fastball.
But it had crazy movement from what I heard.
He's pumping fastballs, 92, 93. He hit 94, I think, a couple times. And we go into the second inning, and he threw a few off-speed pitches. And then when they came out in the third, he was throwing that curveball. And it was sitting 76, a lot of movement. It did stay up. I will say that it stayed a little bit. He hung a few that he didn't pay for. He did give up the 2 runs, but I wanted to see him. He can't be a one-pitch pitcher. And if they're trying to get him through that secondary and that third pitch, and maybe even a fourth, because he has 4 pitches, that's what's on the scouting report. If he's gonna be a starter, he's got to have quality secondary and third pitches. So to me, like, we deviated from the pumping the fastballs. Obviously, you can't go through the lineup more than once like that, not with a good hitting team like San Jose State. But he's got to be able to figure that out. Like, I heard that they were trying to work with him on a changeup, and I didn't see any changeups. But that breaker and that curveball, it give him a chance right there. It's not going to hurt you in February. It'll hurt you in May. Let's see what he has. That was just my thought on it. And then look, I know Tate Hess comes in, he shuts the door, helps us out, got us out of a jam, and he was really, really good. So the result, people will look at the result and say, oh, well, it was the right call. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you're a result-oriented person, sure, the ends justifies the means. I disagree, because I thought once Marcotte came on, And when you had to go to Tillett and when you had to lengthen the bullpen right there, wouldn't it be more to me advantageous to the team? Maybe Dilhoff gives up a run there, but we're 3-0 going into maybe the 4th or the 5th. Talking about Jerry's point about the pitch count, he wasn't going to go too much deeper than the 4th or the 5th. But then you bring on Tate Hess, and he can go 4 and get you into the 8th and the 9th. I think, but it just completely changed the strategy of the bullpen at that point. So I just hated the call, and I have always said I think Deggs goes to the hook too early. And again, I'm a Robe guy, so Robe a lot of times would get he would get criticized for going to leaving pitchers in too long. So it's kind of one of those. I don't know if it's necessarily wrong. It's just different. I wouldn't have pulled him there. I wanted to see what he had.
Before we go any further, I want to welcome the Southern Miss fans who are all, keyboard warriors, but we're here. So feel free to call that number behind or at the bottom of the screen and talk as much crap to me as you wish. I will say, before you go, Jerry, one thing about Raging Cajuns fans is that you would not see a single Cajuns fans shit talking any other conference mate losing a series this weekend or any weekend going forward. That's just saying we know how to win and lose with class. Jerry, I'll serve it up to you, man. What did you see over the weekend? Obviously, Josh and I talked about Saturday and Friday night. Last night, we kind of went over that. But let's talk about tonight. Let's talk about what you saw today. Obviously, again, we just got our ass kicked by a team that just, I hate the saying they wanted it more because that's like an SEC where it means more, which is such a stupid saying. But you felt like those guys were more motivated to go out there and prove themselves and get today's win than we were, and it was good to see some young guys. But then again, we still didn't get the results that we needed. I'm saying keep those young guys out there because we're going to talk about guys like Brooks Wright that need to be in the lineup every single game going forward. But Jerry, I talk too much. Go ahead.
No, I think I was more disappointed. I was more disappointed in yesterday's game than I was today. And mainly because when you saw the starting lineup that we put out going into this morning's game, I mean, you had 5 freshmen in the starting lineup, some of which replaced veteran starters like Lee Amadei and Connor Higgs and a few others. So going into a game like this, not to say I didn't expect much, I expected to see what the younger guys can do. Now, if we would have lost the game 6-5 with a bunch of freshmen, okay, yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, at least I knew, okay, these freshmen can compete. I think what was more frustrating today than anything was the fact that we gave up 6 unearned runs on fielding errors and basic stuff. I mean, missing easy throws to second base, not being able to field a ground ball properly. I mean, those are things that always frustrate me, whether you're a freshman or whether you're an upperclassman. And so that was more disappointing. And I think, a lot of these younger guys have to experience some more play time at this level. But I was more disappointed in yesterday's game. I thought yesterday, I mean, hell, we got a guy on base every inning and couldn't score him. I mean, we had how many runners in scoring position, or how many runners did we leave stranded on base yesterday?
But Jerry, this is what we do early in the season. I mean, this is what we do every year. We can come back and say, oh my God, this is awful. But I guess that's part of why Josh and I mean, I think in past seasons, Josh and I came on here and we're pulling our hair out first or second weekend series. This is what we do under a Deggs team.
And also, too, that's why I said last week, I'm going to give this team about 3 or 4 series to really see. I mean, honestly, we're not going to really know until we get into conference play. I just want to see this team gel and learn, and play together, create more chemistry with one another. Because the reality is if Matt Deggs is willing to play or start 5 freshmen over a bunch of key starters that we've had over the last 2 or 3 years, that tells me that no position is comfortable, no position is set. And that's good. I like that. I mean, we have a lot of young talent, and just some of the names you mentioned, Griffin Hebert, Brooks Wright, to name a few, even the new guys, when Sam Hardwin, Drew Markle, I want to see what they can do. So I'm not worried yet. I think, we're going to be battle tested with this non-conference schedule. I just want to see us get better fundamentally. For example, Tuesday night, right? I mean, I want to see us learn how to ground how to field ground balls. I want to be able to see us score runs when we have runners in scoring position. I want to be able to see our pitchers be able to get us out of certain situations that maybe we were put in today that we couldn't get out of. I mean, heck, a few times I want to say, I mean, how many runs did San Jose State score with 2 outs?
Too
how
many.
How many timely hits did they get in those last 3 or 4 innings?
How many times did they score after we walked a guy and gave him 3 bases?
Right. I mean, look, we went up 4-3, I think. What was it, Josh, in the 5th, maybe? And then they went ahead and scored 8 unanswered runs or 9 unanswered runs consecutively. I mean, 2 runs in the 5th or 2 runs in the 6th, 2 runs in the 7th. I think they scored like 5 runs in the 8th. That's the part I want to see us try to improve on, is how to handle that more than anything. And of course, again, you got 5 freshmen starting. You're going to make mistakes, but I hope this is a learning lesson for this team. And moving forward, I do think they will gel. And look, again, no position or no starting spot is etched in stone. Everybody's got to earn it. And I like that.
I actually like the fact that we have Southern Miss Goose in the space tonight. Honk.
My personal favorite,
you, brother. That's
my
awesome.
personal favorite.
Bald Eagle chiming in. Nick Lee off the jambalaya. Eat a salad, bro. I had the best seafood salad for lunch today. I put extra ranch on it, like a whole gallon of ranch. It was freaking amazing. No, that's disgusting. I hate ranch, but I did actually have a salad today. So I'm working on it. They were. Go ahead, Josh.
No, Mike says that trash talk among sports fans is the greatest waste of human energy.
Disagree.
There could not be a more preposterous statement. The fact that we have a rival,
this is what we've needed,
has made it so much more fun. And it means literally nothing. It means literally nothing. Do you really believe that I care about what some 40-something-year-old king of the hill guy's talking about? He's pissing his pants because we talked about some idiot podcaster making a dumb comment. Who cares?
I'm so wrong so much of the time when I argue with this, folks, but I don't give a shit.
I love
Twitter.
it.
And by the way, you can hurl insults at me. Man, I've heard them all. Like, I don't give a shit. It's whatever. It's fun to me.
It's awesome. And dude, look, and the funny thing is that they said it was a misunderstanding. This Pat McGee guy.
I put, dude, first of all, that guy's his profile picture is the best reaction that I could think. He was like, and that's what I was getting at. I don't even know what the guy looks like. I could care. For all I knew, he was a burner, but they got super offended. It was like, you're making fun of him. And I'm like, no, I think anyway, we're not going to get into that. But they call us soft, bro.
The great Jim Halpert. It was the Jim Halpert look, like on the Office.
But he made the Jim Halpert look, and I thought that was
which I love, by the way.
Excuse me, freaking awesome reaction. So I threw that back as like, yeah, that's my reaction, and they really got. And then they called us soft. They're like, you guys are so soft, bro. Yeah, okay. But
saying it was a misunderstanding was soft.
That's what they were saying. They were like, you misunderstood it. This was soft.
Even if it did, like, okay, maybe.
But I would own it.
Maybe it wasn't.
I would own it, dude.
I'm one of the few that'll say, okay, all right, I didn't understand the intent of the tweet. Okay, my bad. But I'm not going to take it back. Screw Southern Miss. That's what it's all about. What do you want me to do?
I did take it back. Maybe that is soft of me, but I was like, whoa.
No.
Like, we're not throwing personal insults. I just thought it was a funny freaking meme. In my mind.
As long as people approach it for what it is, like you don't take things personally, it's fun.
Fun, man.
I don't take, these are strangers with a goofy avatar. I don't care what they say. It's hilarious.
I hope everyone appreciate my shot picture today, by the way.
I got a lot of entertainment out of that. But like, dude, Pat McGee, I'm sure, you know what? The Buzzardry podcast, we've been extremely complimentary, if I remember right. I mean, I certainly have.
They're pretty awesome. Yeah.
And he does a good job, but like you swept a high school team and you're talking about the Cajuns. What do you think is going to happen?
Thank you.
What the hell do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to sit back over here and let that happen?
Oh my God, this is disastrous. No, it's not. And if you know ball, you know it's not disastrous. We were in game 3 of 54, bro. Like, there's a lot of season to go. And if you know the Cajuns, we do this every single season. We suck at the beginning of the season, cannot hit the ball, struggle to get out of innings pitching wise, and then somehow but here's the deal, Destiny. It's not about you. Like, you guys, again, this is the perfect example. Oh, we're not talking about you. We're not. We're talking about us. Like, I don't give a shit what you guys did this weekend. I literally don't. But you literally did beat a JUCO team. And you're shitting on us because we lost 2 out of 3 to a team that just a couple of years ago was in a regional. Last year should have been in a regional. So there you go. Anyway.
Destiny's the GOAT, dude. She's like seriously great thing. This is what I get tired of.
I do think he's great.
I get tired of the same repetitive tweets. Like the Twitter jargon, like the language that everybody uses all the time. I'm so sick of it. She's one of the very few that have original thought. So the original thought I'm here to entertain. But yeah, dude, like Buzzard Ball says, y'all are talking about it, so you care. We're doing a show, and this just came up, so we're gonna talk about it. It's really not that big a deal.
Well, they brought us up.
Plus, we like followers, and we like the analytics are a good thing for us. So
Southern Miss is
to please comment and come on.
They're also our tribal. I mean, look, let's be honest. They are our tribal now. But I mean, they brought us up. We didn't talk about them. I mean, look, the first 2 games, all I saw from Southern Miss Twitter was, "Oh my God, we can't hit. We're struggling against Lafayette. What's going on?" And then now all of a sudden they won their 3 games against what was it, a 14-35 team, and now it's like, "Oh my gosh, we're so great." And then y'all lost to San Jose State. I mean, look. If San Jose State played Lafayette face-to-face, let's be honest, what would the result be? Come on. Let's be honest.
Careful, Raging Cajun King. You're about to be called names. They're going to call you a fat ass when you see it a salad. Before we go to you, Lane, because I haven't forgotten about you yet. I agree, Chuck. I think San Jose State is going to be a good team. And look, they were picked to finish last. And I am not kidding with you. Before they came into the season, I'm like, yeah, we're going to beat them 2 out of 3 or maybe sweep them. Not the case after I saw them play that first game. Anthony Daniels, that's our beer hawker.
That's our beer man.
That's our beer dude.
The singing
dude,
beer man.
We need to. What is the if we need to do like one of those what do they call them? You go online and you do the ask people to sign up to like support a cause.
The GoFundMe.
Yeah, no, it's not a GoFundMe, but it's like the petition online. I forgot what exactly the name is. We need to do that to get this back.
The change.org or whatever it is. Yeah.
Change.org. Freaking idiots. All right. Sorry about that, Lane. We got way off topic. Destiny, seriously, appreciate you being here and engaging with us. God, I hate myself and some of the shit I say sometimes, but appreciate you for engaging with me. Lane, let's talk about today's game. What did you think about it?
I mean, it was good to get the young guys some reps. I even said that it was a solid lineup. When I first saw it, I was like, dang, Deggs is just throwing it out there and letting them play. I honestly thought that they would have let the starter go a little bit longer, like I said earlier. But it just, once he came out, it kind of, other than Hess shutting it down for an inning or 2, it kind of unraveled. And that's not what you want to see, especially late in the game. But, I mean, also it's the Sunday game, so you're kind of out of pitching a little bit, but there was actually a lot of people there for a Sunday morning.
Great crowd.
That's what I heard.
People.
Yeah, good crowd.
So, I mean, that kind of helped early on. The fans were into it, but when it unraveled, I mean, there wasn't much hope left in the game. But, I mean, overall, over the weekend, it was a solid environment to be in and to witness, other than the changing of the weather every single day. It was different. But yeah, it was a fun time.
Good stuff. And yeah, speaking of the crowd, I mean, it sounded like a really good crowd. And it was a 11 o'clock game. It's usually a 1 o'clock game. So people were doing things in church and everything, but still probably had a much better crowd than Southern Miss did. So good job to all of our fans for showing up on a Sunday. Sorry, I had to get that last one in. Let's talk about the young pups, the freshmen coming in and playing today. Obviously, Brooks Wright is my MVP of the day, maybe the weekend, outside of Chase Morgan, who just, did Chase Morgan things, did Chase Morgan and Superman things, like you said, you corrected me last night, Josh. You said Chase Morgan wasn't Chase Morgan. He was better than that, and I agree. Raging Cajun King saying Brooks Wright is a dog. Talk to me about Brooks or other players that you saw this weekend that were young, up and coming, that give us a lot of hope for the rest of the season.
Me?
You, Josh, go ahead. Yeah.
My bad. One thing that was really impressive about Brooks, he went 3 for 3, but if anybody realized this, he went oppo in all 3 at bats. sending the pitch where it came from, or sending the pitch where it's pitched, I should say, is a veteran move. A lot of kids get in there. They want to swing out of their shoes. They want to impact the game immediately. He went 3 for 3 and had 3 ribbies, and all of them were to opposite field. I think that's extremely impressive from a true freshman. The other thing is that he was a spark plug. Every time he impacted the game, got on base, and got the boys riled up. I like to see that. And I didn't realize this, but apparently all fall he was in the 2-hole. And then for the scrimmage against the alumni guys, he didn't start. And apparently he got after Deggs about that. I love that. Give me a competitor in the 2-hole like Brooks. I'm sold. I don't see how you take him out of the lineup right now. Nebraska is going to present a completely different challenge. I'm happy to have a guy like Brooks in the lineup. I don't care if he's a true freshman. He's producing, and he's having quality at bats. You saw guys like Griff Abear, who had a nice at bat at the end of the game on Saturday, come in and struggle today. Dobson, same. There's a few others. The game's it's hard. It's a hard game, and Brooks Wright's making it look easy right now. So he's got to be in the lineup, especially in this lineup that, again, I'll say has been pedestrian. And I'm not going to say it's troubling. We're 3 games in. It's not troubling. Guys are figuring it out. I get it. But he's producing. He's got to be in the lineup. So whether it's a DH or if they want to stick him in left field, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out. I don't think anybody has really locked down left field. I don't know if Higgy's a left fielder. I think maybe he's a right fielder. He's got the arm. I don't know. I think there's some moving parts. And like Deg said today, we have a lot to figure out. So today was just a marriage of we beat ourselves and they beat us. That's how it happened, 12-4. We got our ass kicked and we beat ourselves. It was both. But I don't really put a lot on the young guys. One guy in particular, unfortunately, somebody I'm really high on, Owen Galt, made 2 crucial errors. Made 2 crucial errors in the field. And really, he did have a double. Today he had one of those fly balls that fell in the Bermuda Triangle. But we didn't do anything with it. And that's happened a lot lately. But run him out there against Texas Southern.
Well, it wasn't just him. There were 4 errors on the day, dude. You're not going to win many ball games when you have 4 errors. Look at San Jose State. They made 2 the other night, and we beat them because of that.
The game.
It cost them the game. It's the same thing.
In truth, if we're being honest with ourselves, of the 38 or 36 innings, of the 36 innings, they were the better team in 34 of them.
Yeah, I agree.
They were the better team. We got outplayed.
Yep.
Start to
Jerry?
finish.
Your thoughts outside of and you can talk about Brooks Wright, but just generally, for the youth on the team this weekend, what did you think?
Look, it's going to take more playtime. More experience. I think the first initial reaction is that they're still. They're youth. They're youthful. I thought Brooks Wright, as Josh said, really kind of fit in right away. Some players learn the game a lot quicker than others at this level, and I think Brooks has done a hell of a job to do that. He kind of looked like a veteran player this weekend, especially his approach at bats. I even thought that Owen Galt at the plate did a pretty good job for the most part. His approach was really disciplined for a freshman, but like you guys said, he has to improve in the field, and I think he will. To name a few other ones, Dodson, Abear, a few of those guys, it's going to take more play time. They just need more play time. I would give them each of them significant play time for Tuesday night against Texas Southern. I think this is a great opportunity for some of them to come in and pinch hit, get some opportunities late in the innings, maybe sub a few, maybe in the 6th or 7th inning, depending on the score. But at the same time, I do think this Tuesday night, they do need to get more of our original starters in the game and build some confidence there. But as far as the youth, look, it's going to take time. I just think we all need to be patient. It's going to take time. I'm glad to see that someone like a Brooks Wright has stepped in pretty quickly. But look, the reality is that you've got, out of the 5 freshmen today, I think Jay said on the radio, 2 of them came from Catholic Baton Rouge, 2 of them came from Barb, 1 from Sam Houston. Those are baseball juggernauts in high school in the state. So obviously they come from talented areas, so they know the game of baseball. They play the game of baseball well. And so I am very, very excited at the fact that we do have this much youth, because I do think it sets us up for the future long term. I like the fact that it's something that we can build on. I just hope the guys in front of them can do what they have to do, because I don't want to depend on youth to carry us this year. I want to be able to have the veteran talent that we've had, that pretty much like the starting lineup for the first 2 games. I want to see them step up because they've been there. You know, the Luke Uhas's, the Jose Torres's, the Connor Higgs, the Caleb Stellies. Like, those guys need to continue to step up. The Lee Amadeus, those guys need to step up. And if they do, you know, you definitely need these younger guys to come in. And how can I put this? You're going to need these younger guys later in the season, conference play especially. If one guy goes down, it's good to see one of them can come in. But this weekend, I expected them to be youthful. At the same time, I hope these first couple games that they continue to get more play time. I hope Deggs starts some of them on Tuesday, honestly.
Yeah, I want to see Blaine Lucas play. I mean, poor guy. He got in for 1 pitch and then got us out of the inning because he swung first pitch, and then it was a quick ground out. But I'm high on Blaine Lucas. I want to see more out of Brooks Wright. But this is not like a Brooks Wright, let's see him versus Texas Southern. I want to see him every single game because he's that damn good. Lane, I'll let you cap it off. Youth on this team, anybody that you impress you this weekend, or anybody that you want to see more of going into the rest of the season?
Yeah, I definitely want to see more of Brooks Wright. I mean, the guy just swung like he knows how to play baseball really well, and he proved it this week. But we'll see moving forward whether Deggs wants to put him in the lineup, which I feel like he should be in the lineup. I mean, I was talking with some of the guys in Section A after his second or third hit. They're like, yeah, he needs to play more and get out in the field and perform like better than the other players have so far. But I agree with y'all. I think the youth on this team they have a lot of talent, and I feel like for Tuesday's matchup, hell, put all 9 freshmen in if you really need to at some point or the other. But it'll be great to get more experience from him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, Jerry, need more experience as we go through the season. I'll let you cap it off, G.
But I will say long term, if we're thinking aloud, granted, of course, the portal has a lot of an effect on our team and college sports in general. But if you're really thinking long term, I think we're set up in the best way possible as far as the talented youth that we do have. I think the more experience they get, the better they are. And again, I really think come towards the end of the season, it's gonna carry us a lot more than people think, as long as we stay healthy. Because one thing that'll add to the experience of the youth would be also depth. So I do think long-term wise, I think we're set up just as good as anybody in the conference, if not better, with the youth that we have, along with the veteran talent that we have. So I'm actually pretty excited to see this team kind of mold and gel, because you know how Deggs is. He's going to play with the lineup. He's going to, tweak out the different defensive structure and the offensive structure. He's going to play with it. So I'm going to be curious to see how he does it, but I'm excited to see it too, because I do think long-term we'll be fine.
I want to comment on what Andy said, and it's true. Owen did have those 2 errors that cost us dearly, but he also made a couple of really nice plays in the field, which is the freshman experience. You're going to get the highs and the lows, especially with super talented freshmen like this. You're going to get high highs and low lows. And he looks like he belongs at the plate. None of these young guys look overmatched or overwhelmed at the plate. Case and Bellar, we haven't talked about him. He had some quality at bats. I don't think he got a hit today, but he looks like he belongs. We got a long way to go, obviously, but none of them look overwhelmed. They all look like they belong there. And I think, it's a super basic thing, and people will probably hear that and say, well, what the hell does that mean? A lot of guys get in there and freak out, or they try to do too much, or it's just an overwhelming experience first 1, 2, 3 at bats. None of these guys did that, and they all looked like they were totally bought in, and you can tell that they really want to play. They want the spotlight. I think that's very important. Super basic, intangible, but we've seen freshmen get deer-eyed before, and that didn't happen at all, even with some of the struggles today.
Especially in the environment. I mean, And that's, I think, what impressed me even more about San Jose State, because they're probably not going to play in another environment like this until they get to a regional tournament type of situation. And they were poised. They never got rattled outside of that one inning where that shortstop, overthrew the ball twice. Just never got rattled, kept their composure, professional all weekend long. So again, lots to be excited about. Go ahead, Josh.
On that note, we start the game with a drag bunt single.
Yeah.
Did we bunt at all after that?
We did later in the first game. Or are you talking
I'm talking about
today?
today.
Oh, not that I can think of.
So this is the thing that happened last year that we talked about. We totally abandoned the short game. Why? We were in a close game until the fifth. Why? What is the deal here? It's an emphasis and then it isn't. We start the game with a drag bunt hit and then nothing.
I think it's just overthinking. I think it's kind of like you going back to the Talbot days where he was too worried about tweaking the grip of the bat instead of just telling guys to swing away. Don't you think it's kind of the same thing where we're just overthinking the situation and just, hey, we're not getting hits, lay down a button, let's see what we can do. Get on base. That's all we care about.
I don't think we have enough data yet. Yeah. But we can talk about it in a couple of weeks, but shout out to Drew Markle's defense today too. By the way, nobody said his name. It needs to be said. The guy is he's very, very solid at the shortstop position.
If I were to take a wild guess of why we didn't play the short game, is because I think we had so many freshmen. And this is just my personal opinion. I think that they just wanted them to go out there and swing the bat and swing at this level, swing against this type of pitching. I mean, that's
we didn't
the
do
only
it
guess
either.
I don't know. I mean, that's my only guess. Because in order, I mean, it's like I think in order to, I would think if you're a freshman and you're getting your first real start against quality competition and quality pitching, you'd want to learn how to swing the bat at this level before bunting. I mean, that's my only. I guess that's an assumption that I can make there.
Well, I don't know. I think I think sometimes we just overthink things offensively. And on pitching wise, I mean, like you said, Josh, we pulled Dohoff early today. I mean, that could have been a situation where we let him, figure it out from that point forward. So I don't know. Maybe we're overthinking things, but maybe we're all overthinking things past this weekend. We'll see how things shape up for us. Obviously, just 3 games out of a very long season that continues this Tuesday night against who do we play? Texas Southern.
Texas Southern. Yeah,
play Texas o'clock. Southern. They are currently, I think they may be wrapping up a game as we speak, but they've played Southern today, and then they had another game against Prairie View A&M. They're 1-1 on the season. We'll see what they bring to the Teague on Tuesday. And then, of course, we host Nebraska next weekend, which is going to be a fun series. Nebraska lost to UC Irvine, which again is another ranked team. We'll be seeing them in just a couple of weeks at in Irvine. Then they beat number 16 Vanderbilt today, yesterday. And then currently they're in a game. They're playing San Diego State. Don't have that score in front of me, but that game started about 40 minutes ago. So Nebraska with an impressive schedule. They will play Grand Canyon on the road in Phoenix, actually, tomorrow night before heading back home. And then we'll face them in Lafayette over the weekend. I think that does it for baseball, man. Like I said, early in the season, we'll figure it out. Have no doubts. Let's turn it over. Oh, sorry. I'll let you as Jerry would say, put the bow on this one.
Well, I just want to know who y'all want to see start on Tuesday. Although we might not even get that game in, which wouldn't be a bad thing. The RPI is going to be terrible, so it wouldn't be terrible. But who y'all want to see pitch midweek?
Speaking of RPI, we're going to get a better RPI boost out of this weekend series than the A-holes down in Hattiesburg. But anyway, let me think about that one. I'll start with you, Lane, because we always kind of go around the horn. Who do you want to see start for us on Tuesday night if we play?
If he's healthy, I want to see Herman pitch a couple 3 innings, just to get his feet back under him and see him perform after his injury.
That's a pretty good call right there, Jerry. What are your thoughts? Jerry has thoughts.
I really don't have an answer. I don't have an answer because we pitched so many veteran guys today. I would have looked at somebody like maybe Tate Hesser Tillett to actually get a start, but I mean, we played him today. Has Gaither gotten time?
Yes.
Yes.
Pitched
Yeah,
yesterday.
He pitched yesterday.
Or inning yesterday.
Okay. You see, someone like that, I would throw against. Texas Southern. I'd probably do pitch by committee. Honestly, get 2 innings
will.
out of
He's
a
going
little bit
to.
of everybody.
We're going to see lots of arms.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
play 4 or
But
5
the
guys.
start, yeah, but the start, I'm with you on Herman. I think that's a good call. I think outside of that, only because he's from Cypress, Texas, I'll say Drew Kirby, because we haven't seen him this weekend. But I would think it would be Herman if he's
he
well
ready?
enough to go. I don't know. I mean, we haven't. Like I said, I got at the beginning of the conversation, it was conflicting reports of like he's out for the season now for a couple days. Sounds like it's a lot better situation than we thought. So he wanted to pitch this weekend. Deggs held him back. Maybe a situational start for him where he goes an inning, see how he feels, and then bullpen. After inning number 3 or whatever. But if he can go, I would say Herman. Josh.
I want to see McGehee back on the mound.
Well, I was going to say that, but will they throw him back out there? Is my
Through
question.
50 pitches.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't. Would do you think he gets a start? I don't know that he gets a start.
This is what I'm thinking. I think that if Herman is healthy enough to pitch, I would give him his live bullpen on Tuesday, and then start him on Saturday.
Okay.
That's what I think they'll do if he's healthy enough. If he doesn't pitch on Tuesday, that tells me that he's probably not going to pitch this weekend.
So I'm looking at the forecast for Tuesday. It looks like it's a 24% chance of rain, a high of 62, low of 38. So it's going to be
24% chance. Exactly.
How do you land exactly on the 24?
That's what it said on here.
Now,
granted, here's the thing though. It says Tuesday night, thunderstorms likely, potential for heavy rainfall, chance of rain 100%. Now that depends on what time is the rain going to be moving in is the question.
Well, let's go back to the percentages. So percentages doesn't mean it's an actual like percentage that you're going to see it. It means 24% of the area is going to have rain and thunderstorms. So I don't know. I mean, it was supposed to rain all day yesterday.
Oh,
right?
Rob's going to tell you it's going to rain for a week, probably.
Oh, Rob will tell you we got a hurricane coming in next weekend, followed by a snowstorm. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to get into that.
Anything's possible at this point.
Well, this
But yeah,
is true.
I think if you're going to see Herman this weekend, I think he has to throw his bullpen on Tuesday. If you don't see him, I think that tells us what we're going to be working with on this weekend.
Very good observation there, Josh. Appreciate it. Thank you, boys. We'll go ahead and wrap up baseball. Move over to softball. They had a so-so weekend. I mean, they did have a winning record over the weekend, beating Northern Illinois Friday night 4-1. And then Ole Miss, as you guys remember, we were all texting about it. Some of you guys walked over to Lamson Park to see them beat Ole Miss 6-5 in 9 innings, which was great. Turnaround on Saturday, not a great loss to Sam Houston, who came into that game with a losing record, only 5-5 on the season, but they lost that game 8-2. They run-ruled Central Arkansas earlier today, 9-1, before falling to Ole Miss 5-0. So up and down for the Cajun softball team this weekend. Again, I think they're going to go as far as their bats take them. Obviously, not a great showing against Sam Houston, and then struggled today against Ole Miss. I'll open it up to whoever wants to go first, but your thoughts about the second weekend that we've seen the Raging Cajun softball team 6-4 on the season. Obviously, we would like to be more like 8-2 at this point, but it's not doom and gloom quite yet. I think we still have some good teams that we're going to be facing. I think that's going to be a true understanding of how good this Raging Cajun softball team can be. But if I'm being completely honest with you, Ole Miss and Sam Houston, who we lost to this weekend, did not impress me from what I saw. Jerry, I'll let you go first and we'll go around the horn.
Yeah, it's like I said last week, the team's still learning. To come out this weekend 3-2, I was more disappointed in the Sam Houston loss yesterday after such an epic come-from-behind win against Ole Miss. I mean, look, I know Ole Miss isn't some type of powerhouse out of the SEC, but at the same time, beating an SEC team with this youth and with a new roster and with a new coaching staff and doing it down 2 going into the bottom of the 7th and to do it in extra innings is very impressive. So that was a nice win. I didn't like the way that we bounced back against or didn't bounce back against Sam Houston yesterday. It was good to see that it seems like the teams on the schedule that we're supposed to beat outside of the first Seton Hall game, we're beating, the run rules, Central Arkansas. That was nice to see. But I think that's just growing pains with this team. I think it's growing pains with this roster. Again, I looked for certain situational moments this weekend. I thought against Ole Miss on Friday, we did. We got timely hits. We got key outs. We won in epic fashion, and that's good. That means the team is evolving. At the same time, the competition is not going to get much easier as time goes on. I believe we play Houston next week, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong there, guys. But I do think this team is starting to learn to gel. I think they're getting better. We're 2 weeks in. After the first two games against Seton Hall and Texas, people were kind of concerned, but now you're kind of seeing a team that's just learning on the fly, and you're kind of seeing a team that's learning under a new coaching staff, and it's kind of expected. So, today's loss against Ole Miss wasn't fun. I don't like getting shut out at home, but the game was a lot closer than the score indicated. It's just we couldn't respond, and that was a little frustrating to see. But again, learning experience. Not panicking yet. We're 6-4. We got a long way to go, but I think we're going to get better. So I'm not worried yet. I think this weekend, I wish we could have gone 4-1 instead, but it is what it is. This team's going to continue to grow. And I think, in the next, probably in a month or two from now, we're talking about it. I think we'll see be talking about a lot or a much improved team than where we are today.
Well, I think it's the same thing as last weekend. I expected them to win one more game than they did, so it didn't turn out as bad. I expected them again this weekend to win one more game than they did. I expected to split with Ole Miss because, let's face it, even though Ole Miss may not be a killer program, they're still an SEC team, and you don't want to do this Power 5, G5 bullcrap. But in the end, they have the money and the NIL to compete with us on a national level. So you got to give it to them and expect that we're going to win one or two games out of that. Lane, your thoughts over the weekend?
So I went to the Ole Miss game today, and I saw a lot of compete early on in the game. I mean, it was, I think, 0-0 headed into the fifth inning. So, I mean, they kept up with them pretty easily. It just kind of unraveled for them in the fifth inning. I feel like they left the pitcher in too long after they already scored 3. But it was good to see the team run rule Central Arkansas earlier today. And despite the unfortunate loss to Sam Houston State, they beat Ole Miss on Friday. I want to say that they probably had the momentum kind of fell off for them between the two games, the win and the loss. But I mean, it happens. It's softball, and it's a learning curve, like y'all said, because it's a brand new team, brand new coaching staff. And I mean, last year we were 9-12 at the start of the season, so I feel like getting more wins under the belt will help for sure.
Josh, I'll let you cap it off, then we'll move on. Your thoughts over the weekend?
Well, they played during baseball, so I didn't get to watch intently except for today. And we already commented on the first Ole Miss game, so I won't do that. But Sam Houston State looks like, they shot themselves in the foot with pitching, a couple of mistakes. You got beat by all accounts, a team that's not living up to what they want to do this year. So I don't know what to think about that. I think that's just one of those things where it snowballed and got away from them. And once again, you saw the lineup go cold. I thought that today they got dominated. I know it was 0-0 going into the fifth, but there are clear and obvious holes in the lineup. And I say this understanding that this is a rebuild. By no means am I crushing anybody. I love the way Allie coaches. I watch her most of the time. She's involved. She's getting after it. She's in the mix. I love that. But that we just lack pop. We have holes in the lineup, period. And if you neutralize Emily Smith, there's not very much behind her. I mean, that's just the truth. It's where we are. Maddie Hayden can only hit 600 every now and then in a weekend series. She's not going to hit 600 for the season. Sam Rowe she's getting some traction, but I don't know if she's a consistent 350 hitter. I don't know if you can rely on that. Deja is in and out of the lineup. The catcher, Savannah White, she looks good. Let's see what Bryce says. The loss to Sam Houston yesterday is just not okay. Well, I think we're in the same boat as Sam Houston. I think a lot of new players, a lot of things we don't know yet.
I don't think we're good enough yet as a team to say that we should have beaten Sam
correct.
Houston.
That's exactly correct. And I'm not going to take a whole lot out of that. One pitch and one moment. I'll give you an example. Like today, I just said we got dominated. Later in the innings, I think it might have been in the 6th. There were 2 out, runner on second base, batter for Ole Miss. It looked like she leaned into the pitch, got hit on the arm. They reviewed it. They called it a strike rather than giving her the base. And then 2 pitches later, she deposits it over the left field wall, and then made it 5-0. I mean, that was a kill shot. We didn't even lift the ball to the outfield, I don't think, for the rest of the game. Maybe once. It's not that they don't have any compete. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we lack pop. We do. We are used to a lot of that power gorilla ball offense, and this team just does not have that. And I think that's why you see a lot of small ball. Well, I prefer the small ball, don't get me wrong, but I think that's why you see a lot of the small ball, because Allie knows what she has, and she's trying to maximize that. You couple that with 3 injuries in the circle, and then the young pitchers trying to learn on the job. I mean, she's got a really, really tough road ahead with this team. I mean, I don't know if you can sit here and expect a whole lot. I believe that Ole Miss win on Fridays, that's a monstrous accomplishment, especially being down 3 late in the innings. I think it was in the 5th that they were down 3, and then they made it to 2 into the 7th, and then they tied the game and won the game in extra innings. I think if you want to take something away from this weekend as far as knowing what you have, hang your hat on that. I think you learn more about that game, about at least some of the grit that you have on this team, than any at bat or pitch or any of that. So,
And
I know it's an overly optimistic way to look at it, but
But I don't think it's fair. I mean, Bryce is saying it's hard to comprehend, what happened after the past. Yeah, the past, we've had a stellar softball program over the last 30 whatever years. But do you realize how we got decimated on the roster this year?
Yeah,
absolutely decimated.
It's like when Napier left. It's
yeah, well, I think it might be worse, because now we're not talking about, a roster of 80. We're talking about a much smaller roster.
And we've lost an All-American.
And you're losing it on a greater scale per player that leaves.
I mean,
so you have to figure this year is a figure it out as you go season. Next year, I think we can start seeing the promise of what Allison Habits can bring as a head coach. But this year, we just got to figure it out as we go. And then hopefully, go as far as we can. Next year, I think, is when you kind of start looking at what we can kind of get back to getting or to being as a program, Jerry.
And also in the past, you didn't lose your head coach because he couldn't afford to pay players here. We lost Jerry Glasgow.
Well, that's what he said. I just want to say that's what he said. Nobody's saying we couldn't afford to play players, but that's what Jerry Glasgow's excuse was. So.
But he said, I'm leaving because I can't compete with NIL over here. And not only did that happen, he took half the team with him. He took actually the players that did the most last year, took all of them with him. I mean, I saw a picture on Twitter. Oklahoma just won a game, and there's Sam in her Oklahoma uniform.
Jerry, did magically in 1 year NIL happen and now he can't afford to compete? Because he competed all the years, and then last year he had a roster full of players who were playing some NIL, but all of a sudden we just can't do it. Go ahead, Josh.
Point of clarity, he didn't say that he couldn't pay players. He said that Maggard promised him a budget to buy players and didn't live up to the budget.
That's a different story. Okay.
That's what he actually said. I just want
that's something we could talk about, because if it was about we can't pay players, I'm like, let's get that out the but if you said that I can't defend because I don't know. Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, the point is that the brunt of it is we just can't compete at the higher level based on NIL. And that was one of the things that, I mean, he even said it, as far as the budget goes. I remember him or somebody on close to softball saying, look, in order for me to win, I need almost $500,000 to be able to bring in these players, if not almost $1 million. And unfortunately, we just don't have that.
Then you're not a good coach if you need $500,000.
I'm just saying
we didn't have it last year. And
I'm not saying. I just heard that through the grapevine. I don't know if he said that directly, or somebody close to the softball program was like, we were told that we needed that kind of money. And I'm like, well, you're not going to get that over here. You're just not, unless you have some, some mogul who writes that type of check. But at the same time, going into that situation that we went in over the summer, and then Allison coming in, to my point, we're seeing we're in uncharted waters with the scenario that we're in. I mean, Allison came in and almost had to rebuild this entire team. You know, I'm very thankful for the players like Cece and Maddie who stayed, but most of the brunt of your hitting and your offense and even some of your pitchers are gone. They left last year. They went into the portal. So you're starting from scratch. You know, you really are starting from scratch, you know, and it's different. I'll say this, it's different from the 2018 situation with the whole saga with what happened with Mike Lotief and Jerry coming in. And I know we didn't have a fall ball, but the reality was we also didn't have NIL. We had enough players and enough talent to want to come in without worrying about getting paid. So I think this is probably one of the toughest rebuilds. It's definitely tougher than 2018. I'll say that.
Oh, by the way, Texas Tech, where he went to with all this NIL money, continues to lose ball games and not close ball games. Like they continue to get their ass kicked. So go make your NIL money and get the players, but you're still getting your butt whooped. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a little bit salty at the fact that he left the way he left, because I think it was a bullshit excuse. But again, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I just think we have to get through this season however we can and then figure it out next year. Josh?
I think we're in a better position.
I do too. Long term.
I like this situation with Allison way better. I don't know. Something about Glasgow was transactional to me. His coaching style was chaotic. Some of the shit that we heard about what was going on behind the scenes, I just thought, are we going to do this again?
What is it about college softball with that, man?
I don't know. But I'm going to go back to what I said earlier at one of the episodes. There's something about Allie that the way that she runs this program, I feel at peace with it. I like it.
Because you know she wants to be here.
She like, is all the way bought in. Big deal.
That's what matters, is you feel like because she wouldn't have gone if Pat Murphy would have left Alabama, I don't think she would have been the head coach there. But I think she wants to be here. I really do. So that's what to me is different.
If this team can make a regional and by some miracle get out of a regional this season, I think Allie should be at least nominated for Coach of the Year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Based on all the circumstances. I mean, yeah.
I agree.
If they get out of a regional with this team, she's National Coach of the Decade. Because
yeah,
I'm just telling, based on what we've seen in the past and what I've watched in person, I've seen them play 3 times in person. I'm just telling, like, it's not even, the roster's completely, you guys use the word decimated, and it's not hyperbole. It's decimated.
Yeah, they start from scratch.
To me, it's more fun this way. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to win like everybody else, but to me, we're gonna build our own team from scratch, essentially. With I think the head coach that wants to be here, like you said, and I want to have it as a head coach.
Totally. Well, the softball team moves on to play the Ragin' Cajuns Invitational 2 coming up next weekend, where they host Houston for 3 games, as well as Kansas City, who I've never heard of. Kansas. Have you all heard of Kansas? I mean, I've heard of the city.
I mean, you're going to see them on TV on Sunday.
Huh?
Oh, we'll see them on TV. Oh, we get ESPN Plus. Oh, but we won't have baseball because we're watching us play somebody named Kansas City in softball. We'll get to that in a second.
Did you say their mascot is the Kangaroos?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh my! I bet you they're
Roos or something.
It looks like a kangaroo. I'm looking at their I thought it was a jackrabbit, but maybe it could be a kangaroo. We'll go with the kangaroo, right?
Man, I bet you their merch is sick. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Dude, look up Kansas City Kangaroos. I guess they are. I do like their logo. It reminds me a lot of that soccer-looking logo somebody in our group chat made for us, and then 8 people left. But anyway, I digress.
It's the ruse.
I digress. That's coming up next weekend, so we will close the chapter on softball until next weekend. Boys, let's talk about, before we get to the stream thing, because I actually got a really interesting text from someone connected to the program that shed some light on the situation. I asked for specifics, and they gave it to me, and they were like, hey, just make sure if you have any feedback, it's your feedback and not mine. I'm like, I don't even know your feedback. You're literally giving me details, and that's all I need. I'll give my opinion, and that is the opinion of Rage and Review only. But before we get to that, let's talk about concession prices. Boys, we've hounded Sodexo so many times over football season, over the past few seasons. Now it feels like it's almost at a breaking point with baseball, because now you're hurting the really what our soul is in baseball. You're hurting that. And when you start seeing, you know, a mixed drink costs $28 and a 12-ounce beer costs $8 in the stadium club, but then you walk outside and you get a 24-ounce beer for $8, none of it makes sense. I'll start with you, Lane, because Jerry's texting. Lane, your experience with concession prices this weekend, what did you feel about that? And by the way, Anthony Daniels is in here too. We miss you, bro. We need you in the stands. Screw the ATF, ATC, whatever. We're going to go to bat for you, but go ahead, Lane. Your thoughts.
So whenever you see a big portion of a fan base not buy beer, you would think that's got to be an issue.
In South Louisiana.
Especially when it's probably the most rabid part of the fan base in Section A. They literally bought more beer than they would and brought it outside the stadium for the tailgate. And there was a few that didn't buy a single beer inside the game simply because of those prices.
Can I share an actual quote from someone within the administration?
Sure.
The actual quote is, people care about that stuff. They care about concessions at a baseball game. They really care about that. Josh, tell me how you feel about somebody inside of the administration making that kind of comment about concessions at baseball or any sport in South Louisiana.
I want to give an update on the kangaroo hat first.
Oh, pretty sweet.
Found the kangaroo hat. Of course, it's out of stock because it absolutely rules. I'm telling you, it's good. It's a good hat. It's a good hat.
I'm gonna look it up.
It's really good. Anyway, Moose. Shout out to Moose. I just got to say the atmosphere is completely different. You know, just having him sing along or screaming beer or whatever. These sights and sounds and smells, they become part of the experience of the game. And having him not there, there's a void. It's true. I'm not trying to get emotional about it, but it is. It's a void. I miss him. Watching him interact with the fans and the kids, he just did a really great job at what he does. So what? An idiot administrator said something stupid. What was it?
Yeah, I mean, do fans really care about concessions? Like, why is that a deal? Why does anybody care about concessions?
I think that especially, we have families that come to our ball games, right? I mean, for the longest time, UL Sports marketed itself toward families. Well, kids want snacks. Young, I don't know, 0 to 5 want snacks. Then you have your 6 to 10 that want a certain, like a burger and a hot dog at a ball game, and then if you're going to go around lunchtime, our game was at 11 today. So you're going to go at lunchtime and then sit there for 3.5 hours and not eat. So yeah, people care. Nick made a comment about this yesterday. You're in a hotbed for food in the world, and we're serving nachos in a bag. I mean, I'll just never understand it. Like, we have already figured this out. We did it before. We had vendors in here selling their product, and it was a great relationship for all parties involved. Why is that not happening? Why can't we get Tim Metcalf back in there? Why can't, I know the jambalaya shop went belly up, but somebody around town is doing something that we can partner with. I mean, it can't be that difficult. We all know what it is. It's a profit margin situation. They're trying to cut overhead. They're trying to cut expenses on materials, and they're trying to maximize what people will pay. And I'm going to get on here every week and say it. Don't buy it. Invest in a flask. Make them understand pain by lack of money coming in. That's the only thing that they're going to respect. They're not going to respect your opinion on their food. They're not going to respect your opinion on their prices. The only thing that's going to make it change is customer behavior. If you stop buying their crap, they're going to stop. At some point, they're going to have to drop the prices. Think about it this way. When we don't sell basketball tickets, what do? They sell $5 season tickets. When you don't buy football tickets, they sell, doorbuster price tickets to get you in the game. It's going to happen the same way with concessions. And if not, they'll fire Sodexo at some point. So you just gotta get in for the long haul, sneak in whatever you can sneak in. Don't spend the damn money. And over time, we will win. It just takes time.
And you would think with the quality or lack thereof of the food, the price would be lower, but it went up. I mean, a large popcorn's $9-10. A bag of peanut M&Ms, $4.50. Like, what?
I mean, It's just crazy.
$28 for a mixed drink. That is what really blows my mind.
That's like 2 or 3 mixed drinks at the bar I work at.
Of
Like,
course,
what?
I mean, to be fair, was John drinking a triple? We don't know that, but even so,
Even then, though, man, like I went. So Allie wanted. I brought Allie to the game today, and she wanted ice cream. So we went get Dippin' Dots, small Dippin' Dots, $7. $7. I said, dude, I could go get 5 or 6 packs of the Bluebell ice creams, like the ones that come in like the small packs, like 20 of them for the same price, literally, or if not less than that. And a small Dippin' Dots, $7. I'm like this.
But what I don't understand is we had Sodexo for years. We had Sodexo when we were doing the cheesesteaks and the broiled oysters and the swamp thing and the crawfish nachos. And you go down the line and the Dino's was there. And we had we still had Sodexo, but they partnered with these people to do these great things at an affordable price. They took a cut. We took a cut.
But
is it corporate greed? Like, you feel like at this point it's just corporate greed because it makes no sense.
Did they partner or was it a separate contract? Because I'm pretty sure it was. I don't think Sodexo was involved. In fact, from what I was told, and this was a long time ago and it was a late night, but from what I understand is that Sodexo had to renegotiate the contract, and part of the renegotiation was no more vendors inside of the stadium. They can have vendors outside the stadium, but not inside of the stadium.
You could be correct, but I
might be totally wrong on that because it's been a long time.
Do you remember when that was noted? Like
around the time that Maggard was hired. Now, I'm not saying this is Maggard's fault. I'm saying right around that time where we made a bunch of changes.
But we still, that's hard for me to believe because we still had vendors inside the stadium when Roe was here.
Well, I think they had individual contracts and they had to let those run out.
I got you.
But to Andy's point, between my wife and I, we probably 6-7 beers a game. And I go to 25, 27 games a year. We bought 0 beer all weekend. Jerry can back me up. 0 beer this weekend. So do that. And I'm going to keep doing it out of principle because that's ridiculous. And if y'all want change, y'all are going to have to vote with your wallet because that's all they're going to listen to.
Go ahead, Nick. Before you go, Jerry, we preach so much that we're trying to build the culture. We're culture. And you said it, Josh. We're culture this, culture that. But then in the biggest hotbed of food in the entire, one of the top 3 places in the country to eat, one of the top places in the world to eat, guess what we do? Nothing. We do nothing. We sell you these nachos that are stale in a bag with some cheese whiz, charge you $11 and say, go on your way. And we say, oh, well, why does anybody care about that? Because we're trying to get people into the freaking stadium to pay higher prices to get into the stadium. And you're giving them a worse experience than they had when tickets were $50 for 50 games and you had the little punch card. You had a better fan experience then than you do now. And you're asking us to pay 50 times that amount of money and saying, well, I don't understand why they want this because you never experienced it, because you weren't here, because you don't know the culture.
Man, I remember at the old Teague, remember they used to fry the catfish?
On Fridays, dude, that fried catfish and fried shrimp
Friday
was so
night,
freaking good.
That is a culture thing.
That is
a tradition.
That was my dinner. When I'd go to the games on Friday nights during Lent, that was my dinner. Like I would get.
Would you pay like $8-9 for it?
Not barely $10.
That maybe,
but it's worth it. I could have paid $15 and been happy with it because that's a full meal. That's dinner. That's dinner. So I get to eat dinner and drink my beer. And then on sometimes they would cook the Philly cheesesteaks right there for like $8 or $9.
Damn you, Josh.
Dinner.
With this comment. Damn you, man.
But somebody actually came up to me at the game and said, you ruined my experience. I said, man, I'm sorry.
But whose fault's that? That's not your fault. I mean, they're the ones serving the peanuts.
But no, I mean, that was more of a joke about, but
Well, my point is that they're half-assing the concessions. Like we can't get a mascot. Why? Well, the reasoning behind not getting a mascot, and we're going to keep fighting that fight. Well, we want the people and the experience to represent the culture of the mascot. Well, so what? The experience is $9 nachos in a bag. In a prepackaged bag and cheese that I can see from the back that comes out of a Go-Gurt looking packet. I mean, that's my Cajun experience.
I'd
I get
expect that at Southern Miss. You go over there, they're like, ooh, we got some goobers. Oh, look how crazy we are. That's what you expect at Southern Miss, not what you expect in one of the best environments in the entire country, in the cuisine, again, the hotbeds for cuisine in the entire world, and you're serving crap. And you wonder, well, why don't people like it? Why is there such outrage? Guess what? If you charge $15 for a Swamp Thing, people are going to buy it. You charge $15 for some stale nachos, they're going to laugh in your face. Because we're not dumb. But they think we're dumb.
But they don't realize that all of the people that are entering into their money-making prime, I guess, in their lives, were here when we had the catfish and the shrimp and the Swamp Thing and the oysters. And that was a real experience. It was very different. It was unique here. So now these administrators come in and they go, oh, we'll just do what everybody else does. We'll farm out our advertisement to Learfield like everybody else does. Well, that's a disaster. So is the food, which is a Sodexo issue. They're just corporatizing everything. And I get it from their point of view. They're trying to maximize profit. They're trying to worry about the bottom dollar. I understand that it is supposed to be a business. I get all that stuff. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. That doesn't create culture. Administrators don't create culture. We do, but they keep getting in our way. You see, that's the problem here. They're not letting the people do the thing, and that's what Robe was so great at. Robe just put people in position and said, go do it. And if it's not good enough, I'm going to tell you it's not good enough. But you all create this. I'm not going to try to do it for you. Remember, you know what I mean? Am I right about that,
dude?
Nick?
Are you telling me? Do I remember? I remember Northwestern sending people down for some of our weekend games to sit with me as a 19, 20-year-old, and I'm talking 40-year-olds, to come down and sit with me, say, hey, how did you work on getting this out? Coach Rowe told me to come talk to you. Why is your atmosphere so good? They copied everything we did, because guess what? Robe called me down in the dugout one time in the middle of the game, said, I want you to do this. Now, I didn't hear from him until I played Teach Me How to Dougie in the middle of a fall ball game, and then he called and cussed me out on the phone. That's a whole different story. He let me do my thing, and then when I crossed the line, he would say, hey, you can't do that. Yama, 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 right? Against, you guys might not remember that, but against FIU, almost got thrown out of a game. But the point is, he let you do your thing. He never told John Dugas how to run it. He never told Sherry LeBas how to run it. He never told the guy. In fact, one of my favorite stories about Robe is during one of his games when he first got there, somebody from the concession stand walked up to him and said, hey, coach, we ran out of Snickers. What should we do? He's like, I'm coaching a game against South Alabama right now. Why the hell is somebody asking me about Snickers in the concession stand? So that was a moment in his mind that he was like, I'm going to put the right people in the right place to do the job and trust them. And if I have a problem, I'm going to call him out. He did that to me several times and I took it. And he did that to a lot of other people. But again, when you as you called it, corporatize everything that's going on, you're seeing that culture that we used to have where you think about Dugas and I and Super John. It was 3 people running the whole damn show every game, and it was flawless. There were never issues. I mean, there were things that would pop up out of your control, but for the most part, that created the culture that we had. And when you corporatize things, again, you've got people who are out of touch that are just looking for the bottom line. Perfect example, Landmark Security. Remember that disaster? We decided we're going to be big time like LSU and have Landmark Security. We brought them on. I don't even know that they lasted an entire baseball season because 3 of them were caught stealing stuff from the freaking athletic department. And these are our security guards. So that's what happens when you get people out of touch. I mean, the security was stealing. I mean, but let's imagine that. So that's a perfect example of Sodexo. I mean, they're literally stealing from us because we're idiots to buy the crap that they're putting out there.
Let's take a step back and realize why did we get to this point where we're selling out the grandstand? Why did we get to this point where we built this new stadium in 2017? Why did we get to this point to where we have one of the best environments in all of college baseball? It's not because we had $9 nachos in a bag and cheese that comes out of a Go-Gurt packet. It's because of the culture. And it's because of the Philly cheesesteaks they cooked outside. It was because of the catfish Friday nights during Lent. It was
Jerry,
because
the only why they care about is why aren't people showing up? Why aren't people buying anything?
Because you're getting rid of the things that got them there in the first place.
But that's the only why they care about. And then they don't want to listen to the answer. They just want to come up with their own answer. Well, the fans suck. They should just show up and support the team.
No, the fans showed up. The fans showed up, and you're getting rid of the things that got the fans to show up. That's the fact. Let's just be honest. I mean,
but we know that.
somebody mentioned the ice skaters the other night when they tried to corporatize the ice skaters. Well, guess what? They're now defunct. They're no longer here. Okay. I mean, this is not hard. And I understand, we got to make money. We got to, we got to increase, got to make a profit. And all, but at the same time, there's so many other ways to do it. It worked 10 years ago. It worked 15 years ago at a stadium that was half the size. Okay. It can work here too. I just get so tired of us talking about culture, but we do nothing to show our culture. It's so aggravating.
We destroy what make the culture. That's the problem. We destroy what made it what it is, man. But then you say, well, this is why. Well, we don't want to hear that. You tell them why, give them the cheat code, and they're like, no, that's not it. Dude, just Lafayette just doesn't support us. That's all it is.
Well,
Lane,
of course.
We went too long on this. Give me your thoughts on concession prices. Oh no, we went to you. Josh, you want to cap it off?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty simple. People that don't understand us don't operate like we do. And when you lose assets like John and Duga and Nick and all the people that really cared, it's the common thread is you got to have people in place that care about what the hell they're doing. You can't have transient employees. You can't have it corporatized. You can't farm everything out. Now, I don't believe that we can live in the old days. We've increased the size of the stadium. We do a lot more in game day. I know a lot of that comes with growing pains, but it's 8 years. We've been doing this 8 years. Like at some point, you have to get some stability and figure out what works and what doesn't. My issue is that it seems like they won't learn from what the data is telling them. And there's no way that they ran any kind of a projection and said, oh yeah, we can get more money out of Cajun fans if we raise the prices. All of the data says the opposite. When you have a promotion like $2 Natural Lights, you sell out tons and tons of cases of Natural Lights. It's not, and then my favorite thing is that, oh, well, I mean, they love Natural Lights. Let's charge $5. People don't love Natural Light. People don't love Natural Light, dude. Yeah. It's $2. It's like, remember the keg, you get hot High Lifes in the back patio bar. Man. But they were $1 and they were hot.
Dude come up with the keg references.
I didn't like Miller High Life. I choked it down because it was $1 and I was like 19 years old. So the idea that people like Natural Light and let's raise the price is so freaking retarded to
Fan
me.
favorite Natural Light.
So dumb. So, but anyway, go ahead, Lee.
How long do we have the fan-friendly concessions? One full athletic year, if that?
I think a couple, right?
A couple years.
It started in 21?
It was after COVID, I believe.
Yeah. Oh,
I think it was right
COVID,
after
and then
COVID
changed it. But
and it was like $1 hot dogs or $2 hot dogs. I think that was and then I think there was like burgers were a little bit cheaper. I think the problem I have, and maybe it's the economy or whatever, but like when you have when nachos go from like $3 to $9 and your markups like 200 to 300% for the same quality, it's like I always talk about the Happy Meal reference. If I showed up to McDonald's and bought a $5 Happy Meal and the next day it's $20, it would be like if I never go back there again, the McDonald's people blame me for not showing up. Well, don't mark the price up 200% and the quality is exactly what it was 5 years ago when you were selling it for $2 or $3.
I don't want to get too deep into this, but what you're seeing in baseball is a direct reflection of what's happening in the Cajun Dome and what's happening at Cajun Field. We built a football stadium and we have a hard time putting asses in the seats. And we can go into all the reasons why. We've said it a million times. We can't draw flies at the Cajun Dome. So all of the revenue they're losing in the other sports and all the revenue they're having to pay in the Title IX, and thankfully we don't have a huge deficit on Title IX because we have a successful softball team that helps out a lot. All of that money has to be made up somewhere. And it's being made up with you and me having to pay $9 for beer. That's the truth. So as long as they continue to fail to put asses in seats in other venues for other sporting events, the people that show up and try to support baseball are going to get the tab. That's really what we haven't talked about. It's going to continue as long as people keep paying it. The prices are going up across the board in everything. Parking's up. Your PSL is up. Your season tickets are up. Everything is up. And it's all because they can't put asses in seats at other venues.
By the way, pay money to go into the stadium club and pay more money for alcohol than you will pay going to a regular concession. Jerry, wrap it up.
Don't take the fan base for granted. It's all I can say. Just don't take the fan base for granted.
It's worse than that, Jerry.
You know,
it's taxing the people that you know will show up. It's charging the tailgate because it's the only thing that you have that's marketable in football. That's what it is. They are taking advantage of the diehards. They are taking advantage of the people that really want to support the school and really want to support the team.
They did learn their lesson with the water fiasco, though. I mean, that's, I guess, one positive.
How funny is that? We had to embarrass them nationally, and then all of a sudden they have these huge jugs of water.
And it's 40 degrees outside.
I love Alicia Robertson mentioning the Young Raging Cajun Club stuff. Do you know about that, Josh? Or
no, I don't know anything about
it. Clue us in, because I'd love to talk about it if we know more. But before we
tried
wrap this,
well, on the Cajun cooking Young Cajun Club thing, we've tried to call a million times over 3 years. You can't get anybody on the damn phone.
Wow.
It's impossible. Some of the employees that we talked to didn't even know what the Young Raging Cajun Club was. I'm not exaggerating. We had to make multiple calls and leave messages, and finally, somehow or another, Catherine just went over there and talked to somebody, I guess. But we finally figured it out. But no, they are not interested in selling that. I think that's one of the best deals you can probably find in the country.
Well,
$50 to get a kid in the event. That's what I said. I said, they finally have a good deal and they don't want people to use it.
No, hell no. That's not a good deal for them. It's a good deal for you. Before we move on to the final topic, which is the stream issue, did want to shout out to Anthony Daniels again. What do you call him? You know, Josh, how do you know everybody's nickname? Like, it's so weird. You know, Donkey, you know, all these weird what is Anthony's nickname?
Moose.
How do you know that?
I listen to his music.
I need to listen to his music, apparently. Maybe he can come up with a new mix for us, right?
Everybody needs to check out Moose's stuff. It's really good. So
Moose, Moose, send me your stuff. I want to share that on Twitter, but we need to figure out this deal with the ATC, ATF, whatever it is in the state that's stopping this. I mean, this is the silliest thing ever. You can't hog beers in the stands. And it's not even about the fact that people, you know, first of all, you increase the price of it, which makes it nobody's going to want to go out and get a damn beer at the concession stand between innings if they have to go wait for it. So you have a better chance of a guy hawking the beers in the stands to say, you know what, he's walking back, I'll pay the $9. But you're taking away, like you said, Josh, an atmosphere thing. Like, he was dancing, he was engaging with the folks. It was fun. It was funny. And I still struggle to understand what the harm in it was or is or ever will be. So we got to figure out a way to push some pressure. Maybe this is a state rep thing. Maybe that guy, Jesse Reagan, who stole our freaking, logo that we have behind him, Reagan Cajuns. Maybe he
just lost his election. So,
screw that guy.
He's not the guy.
So whoever beat him, thank you for beating the guy who stole our logo. Whoever it is that is a state rep or has power, Uncle Jeff needs to get involved with this and say, okay, this doesn't make sense. Not just for UL, but for anybody. This is a money-making opportunity for our folks across the state, for our athletic venues that get to do this kind of thing. And screw the SEC. I don't care if they don't allow it. I'm talking about whoever allows it. Let them do it. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't know how to do it, but maybe we need to put some pressure on them, boys.
Just change the law. It's a stupid freaking law.
It's stupid. It's a law that was written probably when the people were in horse and buggies.
Right. We need to get Miguez involved. Blake Miguez involved, and we'll see where we can go. But the governor of the state is literally an alumnus. Get him on a phone. Now Jeff's kind of weird. He thinks he's like, he has the Bob
That's
Marlin
an understatement.
thing. Yeah, he's got the Bob Marlin thing where he thinks he's way more important than he actually is. But he's an odd bird. I'll tell you a very good story about Red's Bar that you'll think is very funny. But
so
I wanted to circle back to Alicia.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
Text.
Go ahead.
She sent me. Josh, do you want to go? Because I have the benefit.
The Young Raging Cajun Club is one of the best deals because it's for families. Like, there's no reason that Jerry should take Allie to a game and pay full price. She can't understand what she's watching. She's just there to have fun, and we want to bring our kids as often as we can so they grow up Cajun fans, right? So they become investors in your product, right? Well, it used to be you can get the $50. It started out as $100, and then they dropped it to $75, and then $50, and now it's $30. But all those other years, they get into any game that you buy a ticket to. So I could take my family to a game, and especially like if you go to the Cajun Dome, you're buying a full price ticket for a 2-year-old to sit next to you because there's nobody next to you, or they can sit on your lap, whatever. But that allowed them to get into every game that the Cajuns had: soccer, football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever. Well, now Alicia's saying they only give you 2 vouchers to men's basketball, or football vouchers are 2, men's basketball 15, 10 for softball, and 15 for baseball. So now you have to buy full price tickets for your kids. They don't get to do the full Young Raging Cajun Club thing anymore.
That's dumb.
Why?
We're just cutting. We're
nickel and diming the people who they know will give them money. That's what it is.
They're taking advantage of people that are going to show
common
up.
fan.
That's correct.
You said it earlier, Josh.
It's bad, man. There's no reason that a 4-year-old should have to pay full price. It's especially in the Dome that seats 13,300 people and 400 warm, alive bodies are there.
But you know what?
And probably a couple of dead ones.
If you say you give $500 to RCAF and all of the kids, 12 and under, get in for free at all of our events, people will pay $500 easy.
Sure.
That's saving you a lot of money. And plus it's going to the RCAF. So
and
you're
hassle.
good.
And hassle.
But
I wear a lanyard and it gets the kid in there.
That's dumb. We need to get Uncle Jeff on a podcast. Hey, Lane, work on that. Jeff Landry, call Ryan, get him on the podcast. We can do this, guys.
Don't show him the part where I just said he had Bob Marlin syndrome.
We're going to edit that part out. We'll send him clips without that part. But I will say we have more luck getting him on than any of our head coaches. But I digress. All right, turning it over to the stream situation, then we shall close it out, I think, unless there's anything else on your mind. I'm pulling up the text that I got someone from the admin to comment on. I'm going to read verbatim because I asked them, what's the deal with the stream? Why aren't we streaming this weekend? Bad look on us. And they responded, conference requires that we cover all conference and non-conference basketball games on ESPN Plus. Okay, get that out the way. So when basketball is playing home, that's why they are broadcasting that event. I get it. Didn't affect us this weekend, but we get that. Still, we only have one team and we can only be in one place at a time. Hopefully, we get a second team at some point. Not hopeful, in my opinion. I'm not saying they said that, but I'm not hopeful we will get a second team. But that is what I'm being told. We only have one team, can only be one place at a time. Why we couldn't stream yesterday when neither softball and baseball could, don't know the answer to that yet. Maybe it's coming up. Our conference does not have any rules on baseball or softball coverage on ESPN Plus. They only mandate that one of the events gets covered when conflicts come up with 2 home events. So if there's softball and baseball game, one of them has to be covered. There are about 6 conflicts thus this spring when we have both softball and baseball games. To have an even distribution on ESPN Plus, most of these conflicts went to softball. So according to this, not a Title IX thing, but just to even it out between the two, which may be a Title IX thing, they're saying that they had to split it and keep it even between the 2 sports. That's pretty much it. I mean, again, this is just facts from someone in the administration. If someone figures out who it is, the opinions that come after this are completely mine because they didn't weigh in on it. But I think it's bullshit that we can only stream one game of baseball over the next 2 weekends. And if we only have one team, like I feel like there can be a solution that folks in charge can come up with. Josh, you and I talked about it last night. Put one freaking camera in, or we have the stream from the stadium already broadcasting the game. Like, why just not pump in the radio with that and let it go? I guess we don't get paid enough to answer those questions, but I feel like there's a solution in play. Jerry, we'll start with you. You feel like you can work this out, and I get the position from the administration on this where they're limited, but I don't know, man. I mean, again, they keep asking us to pay more, but then we get less. Whether it's concessions, whether it's the game experience, whether it's tailgating, whether it's freaking stream, we keep paying, keep giving us money, but we're going to give you less. There has to be a solution to this, Jerry.
Next weekend, baseball versus top 20 Nebraska, softball tournament, Sunday game against Kansas City, who we've never heard of before. Which game's getting televised?
Kansas City. because they just told me they got to be even in the ESPN
So
broadcasting thing.
why not? So my question is this, and I understand the reasoning, but when you look at the schedule and you see a top 20 team, a team that I think they won the Big Ten either last year or the year before, they're a regional team, they're a well-known team. You know, we don't often, it's not like softball where our baseball team, yes, we get ranked opponents, but we don't get it as often, right? Why would you not maybe look at the other 5 conflicts, maybe give softball that game if baseball may be playing a familiar conference team that we know?
mean, I don't care about Texas Southern. We could have played,
Right. So my problem is if you're going to pick those, pick the games that are more attractive, that can get you more viewership. Who's going to watch? And no offense to our softball team. I no hate against softball. I love our softball team, but who's really going to watch our softball team run rule Kansas City as opposed to Nebraska, a top 20 Big Ten school?
Jerry, I want to watch both happen.
I might want to watch both too, but priorities. If you had to pick one or the other,
Baseball.
which one are you picking? Exactly. So how about we pick who's going to get us the most views based on that criteria, and then everybody's happy. Why? I mean, look, baseball, you got a top 20 team coming to the Teak, and you can only televise one game. I'm sorry, dude. That's not cool.
I mean, this is a sick cap, though. If
It's not the one, but that's a good one. That's not the one. Jerry, when you see their actual caps, you're gonna understand why they're getting the broadcast. Their uniforms are sick.
All right, I'm gonna keep searching. I like this one was my favorite, but I'll keep searching. Sorry, Jerry. I know I threw you off there.
Fine.
Lane, your thoughts on the stream situation? We'll go to you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with y'all. I feel like both teams should have some games where they're not televised or whatever, but the fact that there's a contract between the basketball programs and not the more nationally recognized programs doesn't really make sense. I mean, our teams are 9 and 17, and I've gone to a few of the women's games, but I don't know the record off the top of my head, but they're not traditional winning programs. And yes, I know men's basketball is supposed to be a moneymaker, but it hadn't been in 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
so,
but okay,
I'll
take it a step further. I'll take it a step. So to Lane, to your point, I'll take it a step further. Our baseball RPI, the strength of our conference in baseball, we're a top 5 conference in baseball. Top 5. I mean, we compete with the SEC and it was the Pac-12 at one time, but the Big 12. We're on kind of close to that level, right? What's going to attract more viewership? Watching a Thursday night basketball game between 2 500 Sun Belt schools, or watching Southern Miss play the Cajuns?
But from what I'm told, I mean, from what I gather, they don't care about the viewership. It's all about we're going to just split it, and that's how it is. So viewership doesn't matter, apparently.
Their ESPN contract is signed. They don't care. They don't care about viewership. They're not held to a standard, and they certainly don't know sports. So the people who are deciding, it's not about who we play. They're just trying to fill out a schedule. I don't give a shit who we play. But if it's my turn, Lane, were you done? I apologize for cutting it. I want to go back to Rocky. All right. Let me lead off by saying, Rocky, thank you for your service. Great fan. I think you guys are actually
a new a-hole.
I know. I think Rocky's about. I think his girls are practicing on the other half field as my girls are practicing, and I'm trying to get a scrimmage going. So holler at me about that on Thursday. But no, this whole thing right here. If it's not on ESPN, then show up. I get out of town, people want to watch, but this should drive fans to the ballpark. Misnomer. Some of our biggest crowds in the 8-year history of the Teague, the games were televised. You have your 5,000, or well, I would say 4,000 to 5,000 group of people that go to the games when the gates are open, especially, as long as we're competitive. You're going to have that core that go to the games. Nick and I talked about this on Saturday. It's not just the viewership. It's not just the out-of-towners. It is the snapshots and sound bites on the internet that give promotion to your brand. We talked about 11.7, the biggest college baseball fan platform that I know of, was all over the Cajuns on Friday. We had, I don't know how many millions of engagements based on a couple of platforms, but they were all over it. You had D1 Baseball tweeting out our stuff and, grabbing highlights from our stream and talking about the Cajuns. It's not just about who wants to watch, the parents, the alumni, the former players, all that are spread across the country. It's more than that. You had 4,800 people at the Teague on a game that was streamed on ESPN Plus on Friday. It's about the snapshots and sound bites to promote the program. And that is what we severely lack in almost all of our sporting events. Baseball, for whatever reason, we have done such a great job of cementing a great brand. And Deggs is one of those guys that people just love to root for. And we get into doors that we can't in other sports for whatever reason. You have got to maximize that opportunity. You get to do it 3 or 4 months out of the year, or 4 months out of the year. And you struggle to do it in other sports. You do. It's a fact. Not having the stream for people to grab and jip and meme and GIF and all these things that the internet does, which is where everything is internet driven nowadays. So if you don't have those images, you are missing a gigantic opportunity to promote your program. And we can never have enough promotion here.
I'm glad that Carson said that, because to Josh's point, I was about to say the same thing. That moonshot, that 3-run moonshot, bottom of the 8th last year on Friday night against Southern Miss by Debo. And then all of a sudden, right when he hits the home run, the production team gets that drone over the stadium. It's like a blimp view as the whole stadium's going nuts. That's the importance of streaming. It's not, and the place was, the Teague was packed. We had like over 4,500 people inside the stadium as that happened. It was probably one of the loudest moments at the Teague I've ever heard. You captured that on TV, but guess what? Josh, on Twitter, on social media, with that video of Debo hitting that 3-run shot, how many impressions do you think that video got?
Hundreds of thousands just on stuff that we do. That's not people that gypped it and used it. And that has shown up on promotional stuff that the baseball program has done. The creative department from the university has used it. You know how many living rooms that clip has been played in? You know how many kids, maybe athletes this year because of that clip? There's nothing more powerful of a sales pitch than something like that. You got a full stadium, a big-time home run in a clutch situation against a rival. You can't pay for that.
But Josh,
and when you're not streaming, you don't have that.
You don't have any of it.
But
you have none of it. You have nothing to clip it off of.
It's a perfect encapsulation of how we didn't build. How did we build off of the success we had under Napier? We didn't. How did we build off of that awesome, our team? Nothing. We didn't. And this is a perfect example of us yet again doing something brilliant, sending out to the masses, and just not capitalizing on it. And then us asking to stream games, it's silly that we're even having this. It feels like, I was thinking to myself, like one day in the year like 2050, when I have grandchildren, they'll be like, Grandpa, what was it like back in the 2020s? Oh, son, we could only watch certain number of streamed games for baseball because we didn't have the people to do it. Now you can watch it all. Like, it feels like we're at that point in our history where, like, I'm going to be talking about grandchildren about how stupid this is. We can't watch baseball games on a stream when we have the equipment. And I guess I get the thing about not having the staff, but yet we had the stream team do it when we bitched enough about it a couple years ago. Somebody said, well, why don't you get local high school? Why do we need a high school? We got a freaking university. We got a communications department.
That's what's so mind-numbing. That's what's so mind-numbing. You literally are training people to do this job. What is better training than to stick them on a freaking camera and let them stream a game? Is it a pay issue, you think? You think they don't want to pay them, or is it like sticky with the students on the payroll side? Like maybe there's something that we don't know about.
There's some liability somewhere in there. I
guarantee interns do it, like Bryce is saying, like they don't have to get paid for it.
We have a broadcasting major, right?
Yeah.
We've invested in equipment, and Joel was telling us one night that we invested in a ton of equipment, and we were trying to. Our goal at one point was to get so much stuff, like a broadcasting truck, and have everything in-house. That was the goal at one point. I don't know if we abandoned that. Maybe that's why it costs $11 for a freaking water and a popcorn. They're trying to pay for all that equipment. I don't know. But the fact that you can't stream all of your games when they're, I mean, baseball is easily one of the most consumed programs we have at the school. The fact that you can't get that on the internet or on TV, they're never going to give me a reasonable excuse or a reason why it can't happen.
Especially when you're teaming up with somebody like Channel One Video, who's a freaking professional. By the way, they run most of our baseball games. It's most of their crew doing the behind the scenes stuff. But when you are teaming up with Channel One Video, do a damn trade where you're like, all right, we'll give you this much promotion, but you staff our games in the off weekends that we can. 5 games a year, you're responsible for staffing them. Why did I just come up with that right here on our show? And like nobody's thinking out the box to try to get this done, because it means a lot to us.
Caring.
It's caring, and it's again, it's not about Nick that lives in Houston and is pissed he can't watch the game. It's about my 89-year-old dad who can't leave the house to go to a game because he's too old and he wants to watch every baseball game. So he puts these goofy ass wireless headsets on. I'd love for him to watch every game. And it's about the recruits that we're trying to get across the country that they're going to watch on ESPN, and I guarantee you they're watching a Southern Miss and an ODU and a Troy this weekend on ESPN Plus, but they're not watching us, and they're not going to listen to us on the radio. And it's, again, like we said, it's national attention that we could have, but we don't. I want to see that Will play last night on the top freaking plays on ESPN, but guess what? We can't do it because we didn't have it on the stream. It's just so much we're missing out on, and saying, well, we just can't do it, but you're missing out on so much more by saying you can't do it. There are ways to do it. Josh, I'm with you. I feel like it takes a little bit of caring and a little bit of brainstorming and Cajun ingenuity. And there are not enough Cajuns in there to, I guess, show that ingenuity, Josh.
I think when you get to be our age, and there's a few in our age group that watch, we trend a little bit younger, but when you get to be our age, Nick, you realize the adults that you think run things they don't. You go into rooms and you look around for the adult to talk to, and a lot of times there is no adult. So, like I said, it just takes a little bit of caring. It takes a little bit of treating this job more than a job. That's why the Dugas and the look, we were talking about the makeup of the baseball team, and I was saying I love the fact that we have Ardwans and Bellards and that gives me hope, because all of our best teams were local guys, and I love that. And I love our Texas friends, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying I love seeing Cajun names on the roster. I want to see that again inside the administration. I know that there was a time in this school's history where we said, oh, we just, we're too small time because we don't think outside of Lafayette. And I think that was true to a degree. I think now we've thought way beyond Lafayette, and maybe it's time to rein that in a little bit. Let's get some people that care in some positions of power, that understand what it's like to be Cajun and understand what it's like to run things the way we want to run things. I think that there's got to be some kind of a mix that we can find between the corporatization and the small town culture that we can mix and do better. We got to be able to do better.
The small town culture around here knows what makes money and what doesn't. The small town culture knows what gets the views and the impressions, and they know their customer base. So mixing that in with maybe the bigger business model and blending it could really work. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you look at some chains here, whether they're restaurant chains or certain retail chains that have gone statewide and nationwide. That started in this area, right? But the first demographic and the first customer base was here. And you grew it out, right? Why not take that same type of model and use it towards what you're talking about? I mean, I think that can work.
Josh, I don't know who I told today. Maybe it was you, Jerry, when you called me. But you, me, Jerry, Lane, I mean, based on the stuff that we've been doing these last couple of weeks, it feels like you could cut out about 20 people in that department, turn that over to us, and we would absolutely rock their shit as far as getting stuff done, getting engagement locally, lighting people's asses on fire, getting big time sponsors, because we all care. Problem is they could never afford any of us. That's seriously the problem. Why is Dugan not there? Why is Fabes not there? Why is Labat? All these people who have left, why did they leave? Because it wasn't worth the crap they had to do and the amount they were getting paid. So they all moved to better things. But if you could eliminate probably 60% of the workforce if you got 40% of the people in there that give a shit and cared and were Cajun and could develop relationships. Because I guarantee you, if a Smith walks into Tabasco to do a sponsorship versus a Domang or a Guidry or a Jagno, they're going to pay a lot more attention to us than they are going to pay attention to the Smith or the Zambowski, whose name they can't pronounce. I mean, it's just a fact. So we ran off the Gerald Dabears, we ran off the Dugas, we ran off, I could go down the list of people that grew this place to as far as it could go based on the funding and the money that they were getting. And then we handed it off to a bunch of kids who their only concern is their personal development so that they can go somewhere next. And when I say personal development, it ain't personal development like let's do a bang up job and move on. It's let me do what I got to do so I can move on. And that's the bare minimum. Preaching to the choir. I get it. But that's, to me, hire some people like us, pay the money. I'm not saying hire us. Hell, I don't want to work for the university. I've already been there. But I'm saying hire people like us that are local, that can do the job of 4 people, because those 4 people aren't doing the job of one coon ass from Lafayette. I guarantee it.
It again, they treat it like a job. We treat it like a lifestyle. That's
correct. It's a passion. It's something. It's somewhere we want to be. We don't want to be, at Miami next. We don't want to be at Purdue. We don't want to be at Ole Miss. We want to be in Lafayette forever. Could be, but then again, man, could you imagine us 4 working in there? I mean, Lane, I'm gonna keep you out of it. Just us 3, because Lane wouldn't piss anybody off. Lane's just going with the flow. Holy cow, Josh.
Lane came on staff to make us softer.
Yeah. You see how well that's worked. All right, boys. Well, it's been fun. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll go around the horn one last time. Start with you, Lane. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up tonight?
So I talked with a few of the San Jose State player parents.
Thank you. I meant to ask you that. Thank you.
And Coach Flip today before they left town. They love the environment. They wish they could play here more. And Coach Flip even was surprised by his team's talent this weekend. So I was like, that was interesting to hear. But yeah, the fans really enjoyed being down here this weekend. They enjoyed the Cajun cooking, the gumbo, the chili. I'm sure they weren't too fond of the concessions, but it is what it is.
Well, they like going 2 for 3 against us. I can tell you that.
But yeah, it was good to be able to talk to them and get them to see something that they don't normally get to. And also to the streaming side of stuff, it not only hurts the people like you that live out of town, but also hurts the players' parents when they can't come to the games. Like, what are they going to do? What? Just listen to the kid on the radio, or they can't really visually see what's going on if they can't make it. So I feel like that's another big issue.
Excuse is what it is. When they say, well, just buy a ticket, that's just an excuse.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good weekend overall. Good, a lot of learning curves for both teams, and we'll see how the season plays out from here.
And we got some good videos coming up, thanks to Lane, the next few days. So appreciate you, man. Still working on closing that out. By the way, Section A lost all their tents, so we need to get Chico to send us his Venmo or whatever so we can get some money to those guys. Jerry, close it out with your thoughts.
It was good to be back at the Teague, man. It's always great when baseball season's here. It flies by, so I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. Obviously, the weekend wasn't what we planned, winning 1 of 3, but at the same time, we're 3 games into the season out of 56. So got a long way to go. I look forward to watching this team develop. The atmosphere at the Teague was great. I'm teaching my daughter, all of the different cheers. She knows the words to center field now, so raising her well, as far as that goes. Apparently she loves Dippin' Dots, so I'm gonna be paying $7 every game for small Dippin' Dots. That's okay as long as she eats it all.
Tell her they ran out.
Yeah,
which is probably true. Like, we only bought 3 because we didn't expect anyone.
That's right. But the atmosphere was great. I always enjoy. I got to hang out with Lane at the tailgate on Friday. It was great to hang out with our friends at Section A. Great to see all of them again. The San Jose State fans were great. Thanks to Coach Flip for coming on with us last week. I wish San Jose nothing but the best. Please keep winning to help our RPI out, by the way. And softball looks like they're getting better each week. So I know Coach Allison Habits and her team they'll continue to develop. But No, man, it was great. A lot of interaction with our friends. It feels like there's a lot more energy pumped into the fan base now that baseball season's here. I know the last month with basketball, we've been it's a lot of topsy-turviness, trying to find a new coach and whatnot. So, but I want to congratulate the basketball team on a really good win on senior night against Marshall, probably the best game they've played all season. And then our boy Christian Landry, man, got some play time, scored some points. Well done, Christian. Shout out to Christian. But no, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. I know we got a lot more planned down the pipeline. Like I've said the last couple of weeks to Cajun Nation who listen in, get ready. Rage and Review to the moon.
Josh, last thoughts and we'll close it out.
I want to thank Kendall for coming on and hanging out with us. And I want to thank everybody for watching that and listening to that. Those numbers were insane. You could tell that people are just excited about Cajun baseball. And you can always tell the excitement in the fan base based on our numbers. And our numbers are freaking insane right now. So I just want to tell everybody that I appreciate it. We appreciate you guys engaging with the content that we make. Also want to say thanks to everybody who listened to the Blake Marshall interview that I got to do with him. I thought that was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of great feedback from that. So thank you. We really, really appreciate it. Man, by the time conference play starts, we're going to look back on this weekend and say, man, that felt like 10 years ago. There's a lot of positives here, folks. I know we got our ass beat today, and it was a stinker on Saturday, and we got a lot of growing up to do, but I am confident, and I'm not being over optimistic. Y'all know I'll say what I think, and I think that we have a lot of good pieces. I think we just got to learn how to use them, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna find out later that San Jose State's a pretty good freaking baseball club. That's what that was my biggest takeaway away from what we did. My biggest takeaway about San Jose State was super good, like super consummate ball players. They got some ball players on that club, and they got some pitchers that I was very impressed with. So San Jose State's going to be just fine. I expect them to win a lot. I think they're going to be a very good RPI team for opponents. And let's go out and shock the world next weekend. Let's go beat Nebraska, who has a lot of traction right now, and they look good. They did. I watched some of their clips on Twitter from yesterday. It's going to be fun. I look forward to being at the Teague next weekend. I hope everybody comes.
Josh, I'm laughing not because of anything you said, but I would like to announce I was just followed on X by the 35th mayor of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Toby Barker. So, boys,
yeah, he follows the pod.
I think I made it. I don't know. Maybe he's watching us right now. Toby Barker.
Toby's good people.
He's good people. I mean, I might piss him off eventually, like I do every other Southern Miss fan, but all in good fun. Y'all, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. Again, YouTube is where we're trying to really move the needle to do some neat stuff. So we need some more subscribers there. So if we can get to 500, that would be awesome. So please tell your friends, especially all you dirty Southern Miss people. I know you don't like us, but like us anyway, at least on YouTube. All right. For Jerry, for Sad Face Josh, for Lane, I'm Nick. Have a good rest of your weekend. If you're off tomorrow like I am, enjoy your President's Day. That's all I got. Good night, everybody.